Well, they say that you're a fool. You believe in magic.
I'm Paranormal Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me?
Some hocus pocus filling up inside. And I think somebody's making
Hey everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete, and we're here on the Sacred Spiral Network. And if you haven't seen other shows on the station, I really encourage you to check out sacredspiralnetwork.com or find them on all the socials. And you can find me on Facebook and YouTube. I haven't been good at doing Instagram, so there you go. But welcome to the show. Very excited for tonight. I got my good friend Jeff Davis coming on. We always have a great time on the show. And feel free to comment wherever you're watching from. If you're watching from YouTube and you're watching live, be sure to put a hashtag live to help the algorithm out. But let us know where you're watching from and what part of the world you're in. I'm out in the Pacific Northwest and up in Washington State, and glad to be here with you guys. I've got a few things coming up. I've got summer ghost walk tours coming up. You can find that at portgambleparanormal.com. I've got July 11th and August 8th, and we've got Bernadette checking in from Canada. Thanks for watching. So July 11th, August 8th, and you can get tickets from the website there. And it's basically a 3-hour tour of Little Port Gamble. I should say Little Haunted Port Gamble. Although the haunting is not little here. But if you've never been on the ghost tour up here and you're in the Puget Sound region, hopefully you'll come check it out. So that's at portgambleparanormal.com. And love doing the tours. I just kind of have always amazed how quick the time has gone. This fall will be my 15th season of doing the tours. And when I started doing the tours, I never thought I would be making it to my 15th season. I started doing them in 2011. So my how time flies, and certainly been flying lately. My parents were right. Time flies when you get older. So it's really flying by. We got the Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming up November 6th through 8th this year. So it's a 3-day ghost conference with speaking presentations, classes, investigations, and I can't wait to start sharing the special events we're going to be having this year. There's a lot of special events, more than normal, and you can find information for that at portgamble.com. And we've got a ton of applications for speaking and vendors and classes, and we're just kind of starting to be able to get to those and start picking the lineup and building the schedule. So it's going to be a great year. It's the 17th annual Ghost Conference here. And when I started working here, it was the 2nd annual. So I've been a part of it for a long time. It's a great conference, a place to come, share your story, not be judged. Same with the Oregon Ghost Conference as well, which is in March this next year. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest or looking to travel to the Pacific Northwest, or you're covered in the fall with the Port Gamble Ghost Conference, or the spring with the Oregon Ghost Conference. So both wonderful places to experience the paranormal and be around other people who are into it as well. Me and my shadow 217 watching it from YouTube. How's it going? Thanks for watching. So if anybody's interested in booking a mediumship reading with me as well, you can do that through portgambleparanormal.com as well. I do evidential mediumship, and if you've been watching the show for a while, sometimes we'll do live reading shows, and we'll dedicate the whole show to that. And so always stay tuned for that. But if you'd like to book a reading, you can go through portgambleparanormal.com, and I'd love to try and help you. If you like the intro music, shameless plug for my band, Steady Rock Cosmonaut. It's a song called Magic. It's been my show theme song since I started doing this show 5 years ago. Can't believe, wow, 5 years. I took almost 2 years off, but it's always been my theme song. But if you go to steadyrockcosmonaut.com or look us up on the socials, if you like that opening tune, hopefully you'll like the rest. Well, with that, I want to introduce my guest, and I will say Jeff Davis has been a really good friend to this show for many years. I'm not keeping track, but he might need to get a Saturday Night Live 5-episode jacket, maybe. He's been on the show a few times, and I always enjoy talking to Jeff because he's just a wealth of knowledge, and I always learn something new when I talk to him, and so I think it's fun to have him on the show. But he's born in Vancouver, Washington, and he's been a guest expert on Coast to Coast AM and the History Channel TV show Haunted History Northwest. He's also been on Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight. He's been on Ghost Adventures, The Dead Files, and That White People Bleep. I guess it's a podcast. I could say it. That white people shit. But he spent many years in the U.S. Army and Army Reserves. He served in Italy, South Korea, Japan, Bosnia, and Afghanistan in a number of positions, ranging from infantryman to military historian, to putting on puppet shows at orphanages. Jeff has a bachelor's in anthropology and a master's in archaeology. He lived in England for nearly a year while working on his master's degree on the Vikings in Greenland. He also worked for several years as a field archaeologist in the Pacific Northwest. Jeff has written several books, and we'll talk about some of them tonight, on military history, ghosts, mythology, and archaeology. His best-selling books are Weird Washington and Weird Oregon. Look those up, guys. He's something of a mystic and practices the occasional fire walk. I have no idea how he does that, but maybe he can tell us. He's also interested in acting. And his first credited movie role was in the 1994 movie Imaginary Crimes as the test center teacher. He's also a non-credited extra in the 2002 film Men of Honor. Let's give Jeff Davis a big Paranormal Pete Show welcome.
Hey, Pete.
What's up, Jeff?
Whenever anyone reads my bio, I look to my left and right to see who this impressive guy is.
That's right. And behind you. You got to look behind you, too.
That's right.
Thanks for coming on the show again. Is this your fifth time? I don't know. Maybe fourth time?
Fourth time, fifth time. I don't know.
I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, but I always enjoy being on your show because you always have these stumper questions where I have to like go, I don't remember how I lied the last time.
Well, we'll see what we can do to you tonight here. I'm sure I'll think of something, but yeah, I just appreciate you coming on. We've talked about a lot of really cool stuff over the years, and tonight I want to talk about Fort Vancouver, the barracks, and the haunting there, and the history too. The history is just as fascinating, and pretty much anywhere you go, I always think the history is just as fascinating as whatever haunted mystery that there could be. But I wanted to ask you first, before we get into that, growing up and then your time in the military, you went all over the world. Did you have an interest in the paranormal or the mysterious before an interest in history, or did history get you into the paranormal? Kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, it was. I actually owe it all to Boris Karloff.
Okay.
Do you remember? All right. So going back to when I was like 10, 11, 12, and I have told this story to other people. When I was fifth or sixth grade, I have ADHD, and my parents bought me my own little black and white television and they put it in my room so that I would watch TV instead of bothering them. And we used to have an Elvira-like show hosted by, this was out of Portland, Oregon, hosted by a guy named Victor Ives, who used to be manager or owner of a radio station or two, and he would run public domain or very low cost movies, in particular classic movies. Okay. And while I appreciate almost every mummy movie ever made, the first one with Boris Karloff, he is only in mummy makeup for the first 2 minutes of the movie. The rest of the time, he's an animated, dried up corpse.
Yeah.
And so if anyone ever has a chance, if you've never seen it, it involves archaeology, history, because it was made in the 1930s. So it's a historic movie anyway.
Yeah.
And magic and reincarnation. The original movie the original scenes that were cut involved 5 or 6 different reincarnations of Princess Ankhesenom. I can't even pronounce it. Forgive me, Boris. Anyway, and they were all cut out of the movie. But it's this whole thing, magic, mythology, archaeology, the paranormal. So it captured my imagination as a kid. Because we, as children, we're still blank slates. Our brains are being imprinted with interests.
Yeah.
And so it's so funny. We all have the expression also, life gets in the way. So when I was 12, 13, 14, all the way through high school, I used to walk. I sound like Abraham Lincoln now. On weekends, I'd walk 5 miles to go to the library and pick up a bunch of books. And then I walk 5 miles home with the books. And it was 4 or 5 miles. Anyway, my first stop was always the paranormal section of the library, and which was where I introduced to Hans Holzer and Lord Halifax's ghost book. And, this is 1960s, 70s. And so I was always interested, but then, after high school, graduating, going to college, then regular army and so on, that had to go into the background.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, the night I was about 27, 28, that I kind of reintroduced, I had the leisure time to start visiting haunted places throughout the Northwest. And this is, people, please think about a world without the internet. There were no haunted tour guides out at the time. There were these national gazetters where an author might have 20 haunted locations from across the entire country, and 1 or 2 in Portland, certainly none in Vancouver. And so, but by that time I was also doing archaeology work. And so it all kind of, to me, mixed together, but starting to do research and actually writing my own books in 1994, which makes me how much older than you, Pete? I was born in 1962, but I don't want
to say now.
I was living in England for a year for doing a graduate school, and I was looking for presents to bring home that were inexpensive and portable. Yeah. And this one housewife had Ghosts of Sheffield, England, volumes 1 through 4. And they were just a really simple booklet. She went to the Kinko's and she formatted it in Microsoft Word and printed it out and then folded it and stapled it in the middle. And they were £1 English pound or $1.85 a piece. So I bought a set And once I got home, I said, you know what? If this bored English housewife can do this and be successful, so can I.
So
It wasn't that easy.
when did you write your first book then? So shortly after?
I came back in 1995, and within 2 years, I was in Bosnia for almost a year. So coming back, before going to Bosnia, I put out a Ghostly Guide to Clark County, which was a bifolded book.
Yeah.
And then I got mobilized, and then I came home, and it was like 1999, 98, 99. And so for a while, I was putting out one book a year.
Wow.
And then September 11th happened, and then the next year I started getting mobilized again.
Yeah. No, life gets in the way. Yeah. That great story. Nocturnal Frequency checking in. Thanks for watching. If you guys are watching live on YouTube, put in #live. It'll help out. So, I mean, what was we'll talk more about the writing, but as you're talking, what was the first, haunted location that you went to, like where you were like, I'm going to this place because of the stories? What was that?
It was actually the White Eagle Saloon, which is Portland, Oregon's most famous haunt. And that was one of these places that was actually mentioned in the book Myers. I can't remember his first name, but there was a collection of haunted locations across the country. He had the White Eagle Saloon and KWJJ radio station, and maybe even one other place. Nice. And the girlfriend I was seeing at the time actually knew that it was haunted, and so she said, let's go over there. And at the time, their signature dish, because it was a biker bar most of the time, was what they called tits and chips, which was homemade chicken breasts and French fries. To really date me, $10 would get me an order of tits and chips and 2 beers.
Wow. Those days are long gone. Those days are definitely gone.
I woke up one morning, said I got paid a dime to mow somebody's lawn.
Yeah. I did mowed lawns when I was a kid too. I got like $1 to $5 per lawn.
Wow, you are much younger than me. It was 50 cents when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, inflation. So you went to, did you guys experience anything, when you went to check it out, or, did you get any feelings, or, what do you remember from that?
No, it was off and on for a couple of years. And the owner is a guy named Chuck Hughes. And if anyone goes into the White Eagle Saloon, they have a lot of large historic photos, blown up photos. And there's a color photograph. Most of the photos are black and white, but there's a color photograph of a guy who looks like Elvis, sort of. He's got the do. He's got the hairdo.
Yeah.
And that's Chuck Hughes. And he owned the place. As far as I know, it was there's been a bar there according to some, since the 1870s. Started off as a wooden building, and then they built the brick building that you see today. And as far as I can tell, it only passed through 2 families before being bought by the McMinimans. One is the original owners. It was a partnership, Soboletsky, and I can't remember the other one. And then they got older, and as far as what I remember Chuck Hughes telling me, one of their nephews bought it from them, and then Chuck bought it from him, and he held it for 20 plus years. Yeah. And then he sold it to the McMinimans. So I was in off and on. Nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
Heard the stories. I could not hang out in the women's bathroom for some reason. But that's one of the haunted places, right? Yeah. And the upstairs. So this building was built with the bar on the ground floor. And there's a side entrance on the outside of the building, steps leading to the top floor. And that was a boarding house. And they called them crib rooms.
Okay.
On kind of the going rate around 1900 was it 25 cents a night, and if you paid an extra dime, you got a room that had a sink in it,
Okay.
but bathroom down the hall, and
Yeah.
it had interesting bunch of architecture. I'm not going to bore everybody with, but what ended up happening is in the World War II years, the they didn't do more maintenance on the roof, and so with wiring concerns and the
Yeah.
roof and everything, they stopped renting out rooms as a boarding house. And then over the decades, the roof degraded, so that I got permission from Chuck Hughes to actually wander around inside just maybe a year before he sold to the McMinimans. And there was a lot of like decomposing roof material
Yeah.
that was kind of like a mulch inside the hallways in a lot of the rooms. So he let me hang out there. He never let me spend overnight. And I actually had VHF footage, about a half an hour on videotape, of what it was like. And
Nice.
well, not anymore.
Yeah.
I met up with some independent filmmakers, and I think you're going to know what happened then. They were working on a production of Ghosts in Oregon, and they borrowed my footage, and I never got it back.
Oh my God, that sucks.
I'm sure I'm the only person in the world this has ever happened to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got
Let
to
this
be the only one.
let this be a warning to you. Don't post it online, because then you lose ownership of it. The alternate side is don't put it on disc and give your only copy to somebody
Oh man.
without a healthy deposit.
Oh geez.
So, uh-huh.
Well, lesson learned, huh? Yeah. Well,
Mm,
sounds. I gotta check that place out, anyways, just to see it. But
you've never
um,
been there?
no, no. There's lots.
Are you sure you're involved in the paranormal?
I know, right? Well, I'm always stuck here in Port Campbell, so. uh,
Beat.
I know. Damn it. Um, well, let's shift over to talk about Fort Vancouver, because I know
Yeah.
you've had experiences there, and you may not claim to, but I'm pretty sure you would probably know every inch of history there. Um,
It's uh gosh, we're at 175 years of history. No, actually 1820, right? We're at 200 years of Anglo-European history there.
yeah,
So,
it's a long
so
time for the West Coast.
I don't know everything, but I try. So for people's background, Pete is saying Fort Vancouver and barracks, and so it's really hard. It's going to be one of these things where thank you, please, for your patience in advance. So it's a piece of the landscape, and of course, before the first Europeans, the English plunked themselves down. The Hudson's Bay Company, and that was the regional headquarters for the Hudson's Bay Company from the mid 1820s to 1849, and it was known as Fort Vancouver. So the U.S. Army arrived in 1849 and plunked themselves down on the high ground overlooking our friends with the Hudson's Bay Company. You cannot trust those English people. The English merchant class. So and so they established themselves. It's the same piece of land, but they use the name historically, and here's where I get sounding like a Karen, I guess. The proper name for the Army for about 10 years was Columbia Barracks.
Okay.
And then the Hudson's Bay Company left, and guess what the Army did? They said, "Oh, this is now named Fort Vancouver."
Oh gosh.
And if that's not enough, for about 20 years it was Fort Vancouver, and then it became the Vancouver Barracks.
Oh geez.
And so this is the Army post all the way until the U.S. Army left in 2011.
Yeah.
2012. So, but right now, most of the land was given to our friends at the National Park Service. So it is part of the Fort Vancouver National Historic Reserve.
Yeah.
And there's a replica of the Hudson's Bay Company fort stockade and many of the Vancouver Barracks, the Army buildings, are still there. Most in the same place where they were built. A few have been moved.
Yeah.
And so if people just drive on the post, there's a big wooden sign that says Fort Vancouver National Historic Site. Other places you still see Vancouver Barracks.
Yeah.
And so I gotta I've got to be patient with people. Please be patient with me. That piece of the landscape was named the Vancouver Barracks for over 100 years. And my dad was stationed there. I grew up calling it the Vancouver Barracks, and I enlisted in the Army Reserves there. And when the Army finally pulled out, to the best of my knowledge, I was the last soldier serving at the barracks. I had an office in one of the buildings. I had keys. And then they said, okay, pack up. You're moving your office to Fort Lewis, which I did.
So you were the last soldier there?
To the best of my knowledge. There was
Wow.
the National Guard had a presence there, but I think they had vacated by this time. But yeah, to the best of my knowledge. Now there were civilian employees, caretakers, but the ones who at this time I was in the Army Reserve, who I came in on some weekdays to catch up on my work, to log into the system. Yeah, I actually had a working office until nearly the time when I think I retired first. But yeah,
that's crazy.
It is, and so this is one of these, I guess, claims to infamy, is like, I was the last soldier there, 20 years from now, when when there's like spooning oatmeal into my mouth, I'll say, this reminds me of my time at the Vancouver Barracks.
Well, it's a really beautiful place. So I got to come down was earlier this year and walk around with Jeff. And so Jeff does the tours there.
Yep. Let me move my head.
Yep. He does the spirit tours, and he gives you all the history as well. I was just amazed at the amount of history that you know there. And one thing that was really cool, and for people who are not familiar with the area, we're talking about Vancouver, Washington,
the first one. Yeah.
Yes, and right on the Columbia River there, and so that's where we're talking about. But going down there, one of the things that really struck me just walking around and visually struck me was like all the window trim packages. This sounds really dumb and weird, what the things you notice, but all like the window trim, like how they did the window trim on all these buildings is the exact same way they did it here in Port Gamble, which started in 1853. And so I just kept walking around, like I kept catching glimpses of like, wait, okay, no, I'm in Vancouver. I'm not at home. But I thought that was really cool. Just the, same time period, but just the same style of the shiplap siding and the window trim and how they would cut them, and really unique. But tell us a little bit about the grounds, because there's a lot of unique things about the grounds there in the gardens, and share a little bit about, because I found that really fascinating.
Sure. We actually had somebody from the National Archives come out. We had a history conference. He was our keynote speaker, and the Vancouver Barracks was the preeminent army post, regional army post, for decades, 1849, essentially to the end of World War One. And then after World War One, military strategy and logistics changed, and Fort Lewis gradually became the more important post. But for over 50 years, it was the regional headquarters. And the buildings, the Army, when they build a building new, it is whatever was in style at the time, state of the art technology at the time. They're not really good about upgrades though. So if you moved into a house that was built in the 1860s or 70s, it probably never had indoor plumbing installed at any time. So
Yeah.
that's why people wanted newer buildings, but they ended up building continuously to World War One. So the thing that's unique about the Vancouver Barracks architecture wise is, if you walked around with some historians, it is essentially a military post that ends around 1906. It is the time period from 1849. It's a Spanish American War era post. Many of the
Right.
buildings lining the parade ground are all a direct result of the Philippine insurrection, the Spanish American War. And so it's like a movie set, isn't it?
It looks like a movie set. Yeah.
Yeah, because all these architectural styles for 50, 60-year period, they're all examples of these, from Queen Anne to log cabins covered with clapboard siding. And so the oldest and first building was the original headquarters commander's residence, a multifunction building. It's known as the Ulysses S. Grant House, which is now a restaurant. But within the boundaries of the post, the thing that is nifty about the Vancouver Barracks is, many of us have this idea that ghosts need a building to exist in, right? If you want to find the ghosts, it's going to be inside.
Yeah.
Not true at the Vancouver Barracks, because there is a massive parade ground between the officers' quarters and the soldiers' barracks, big green space
Yeah.
that has been there since 1849. It was a green space created in 1849, still is. So it's the parade ground itself is haunted. And sadly, going through the newspaper back files, World War II-ish, somebody was struck by lightning and killed outside on the edge of the parade ground. And there were sadly several suicides. Soldiers hanged themselves outside on trees.
Jeez.
And so all of this kind of contributes. There were soldier committing suicide in a building. What happens if the ghost is created by events indoors and then the building goes away?
You're right. They would still be there.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
think.
Which is where you get there's a hospital in England that dates to the Renaissance, late Middle Ages, and people have seen through the ceiling the feet up to knee level of somebody walking. And they did some architectural work and found out that they had actually raised the floor. The second floor was raised up about 2 feet above where it is now, creating a vaulted ceiling. So the ghost is still walking on a ghost floor.
Yeah, and you're only seeing part of
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so on the parade grounds, like what do people experience, or what makes it what have people talked about? What have you experienced? Have you seen anything or felt anything?
It's so funny. The haunting continues. I'm not going to lie and tell somebody who signs up for the ghost walk something happens every time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust that myself.
Right.
So going backward, I was talking about suicide. And so people, it's almost like an urban legend where it makes it onto the internet. And if it's identical, if you go to 4 different websites and it's almost identical wording, maybe one of them is the original story.
Yeah.
But people off and on over the decades have said that they have seen described somebody in late 19th, early 20th century army uniform with a rifle challenging them as a sentry. Halt, who goes there?
Huh.
And of course they run away. And it just so happens that, yes, indeed, a sentry was on duty in February, like a punishment duty, and he came back to the guardhouse, which is at the southern end of the parade ground, and he committed suicide there. And so there's a thought that, in talking about before we started, we were talking about the mechanics of mathematics of hauntings. the belief that snapshot in time or remnant spirits are created by the release of psychic energy. Imagine you're suicidal and it's 2:00 and 3:00 in the morning in
Oh, yeah.
February. You leave something behind, kind of a
Yeah.
stain on the landscape. So now, more recently, couple things. I was on the not the steps of the post hospital, talking about how sometimes if you have a haunting, and I'm sure you've experienced this on your ghost tours or on some of these paranormal events at Port Gamble, where you have 6 or 7 people at the haunted location, and only one person perceives the haunted event.
Yes.
And and you and I as guys can, like, they're looking left, looking right, and looking kind of scared. They must be perceiving something.
Yes. Oh,
So
yeah. I've experienced that exact thing.
yeah, so I was talking about that phenomenon to a tour, and then we finished the tour, and because a lot of stuff happens even outside at the post hospital, and so the tour ended, and I was in the parking lot waving at everybody as they were driving off, and everybody's gone, and it was 9:30, I think, and it was dark because it was October, and ghostly tour guys can be surprised and scared too. At the far end of the parking lot, it was suddenly I heard someone's engine turned on, and then headlights are like beaming toward me, and this car starts driving toward me ever so slowly. And I said to myself, I'm going to get shot in the face, aren't I? And it stopped opposite me from the guy from the tour. Jeff, yeah, can I talk to you? Yes, please don't shoot me. So yeah. And he said, we waited because when you were at the hospital and you were talking about, only 1 or 2 people. Yeah. Did you hear the drumming? And I said, what drumming? You didn't hear the drumming. And so when I started talking about, he said he heard somebody beating out a tattoo, brum, brum, on a drum. And all the while I was talking, that sound, he heard it. And he did the, what?
Yeah.
I don't have sound effects, wee, wee.
Yeah.
And he, and it continued until we left the porch area. Then it abruptly stopped.
That's
he was
cool.
yeah. It's so cool, and it happens to somebody else, isn't it?
No, I want to experience it too. I mean, I had last October on my tour, ghosts only come out in October, right?
Yeah.
So it was close to Halloween. And I was doing a private tour, and myself and a few of the attendees spotted a man walking on the outside of a building. Here we go, outside.
Yeah.
And walking with a really weird hitch in his step. And he was really tall, pretty large, looked like he was wearing like all denim, bald head. I shined my flashlight down, and I swear my flashlight reflected off his head. And I was thinking, there's no reason for anybody to be here at this time of night right now. And so I said, hey, who's down there? And he just vanished. And the people around me saw this, or, he was kind of walking behind some trees. And when I said, hey, who's down there? He was behind a tree, but it was the last tree in the grove. And so we expected him to come out past it.
Yeah.
Except for he never did. And so I ran a few steps over. He was not on the back side of the building. He was not on the front side of the building. I could see both sides, the front and the back of the building, from where we were standing. There was nowhere for him to go. And it had just been raining. And there were no footprints in the wet grass, the fresh, wet grass. But it was kind of cool. Not everybody saw him, but a few of us did. And that was pretty incredible. So back to Vancouver Barracks
Oh,
here. So, what are the stories, or what's like your favorite story from the U.S. Grant House? Because when we were there with you, because of your VIP status there,
they
we got
tolerate me. Yeah.
yeah, we got to go upstairs and kind of go through, some of the quarters up there. And I mean, it felt like things were around up there.
Yeah.
One of the rooms was real heavy, and then it kind of settled out. But, and I know Jason that was with me too, been a guest on the show. We were feeling kind of the same sort of things in the same places. And so what's your favorite story from the Grant House?
Right. So I'm going to say this to the audience first. My tours normally are outside,
Yeah.
and you can visit my website. It's jeffdavisghost.com. Follow the links. I I do private tours outside year round, and I have scheduled tours. 2 weeks from now, or no, next week is the next set of tours.
Hey,
Right.
nice.
I got the sales pitch out. Now, one of the things I love to do inside the Grant House that I don't charge for, which is one of the reasons why they tolerate me, is in the winter months, usually one Sunday a month, we do what I call Spirits with Spirits. It's a restaurant. The
Yep.
building is leased by a winery restaurant, and so for Spirits with Spirits, people come in, get something to eat, something to drink, and then we talk. Well, I talk, they listen.
Let's be
And
real here, Jeff.
yeah, I know. And we'll ghost hunt for food. That was one of my signs, one of my memes at one point. But
Yeah.
then we go through the building, and there are 5 reported named or nicknamed spirits inside the Grant House itself, and so we talk about them all. Now, again, I don't get any money for this, but if people are interested in this as an experience, it is probably possible to contact me. I'll give you the link for the Grant House. Willful Wine is the company, and if you guys schedule like a private dinner, I will come and do the same thing for you without charging a fee, because this is kind of like giving back. I love this place. It's a hidden gem. Not many people know that it exists, even people in Vancouver, because the Army was there up until 15
Yeah.
years ago. People were reluctant to go there because it was the Army. So we can do that now. Stuff does happen, and sometimes it's very, very subtle. It's almost like a description of a drive-by or a car wreck. If you're in your car and there's a wreck in the other lane behind you, you hear you know it happened when you hear the crash, even if the car came opposite you or right behind you. And so I'm sure this is your experience too, just like seeing the Baldy Man. Is these events happen, and you think, if you perceive it, because you're not expecting, your mind is not prepared to think of this as a paranormal event. It's only after it's over with, when all is said and done, that you turn around and say, what was that?
Yeah.
Same thing. It's subtle stuff. So I know the room that you felt the aura in is at the when you go up to the top of the stairs. We go up the back way, and the first room on the left.
Yes, that's it.
And that was the room where the post commander in the 1870s was a guy named Alfred Sully, who was a Civil War veteran, and he had an eminent Civil War record, and he stayed in the Army, fought in the Indian Wars, which of course these days, and actually at the time, were not all that popular with not the local populace, with the American people. But he was dying of some kind of rheumatic condition, or I think stomach cancer, and it's a lengthy story that you have to attend the ghost walk to learn. Or he died in his bed, and that was his bedroom. The commanders, this building at the time was the combination still post commander's residence on the upper floor, and on the lower floor that was kind of the headquarters offices.
Yeah.
And and he has been seen or reported all the way up until I think the last person who told me they actually saw him, we're talking about like 2012, fairly
Okay.
recent,
Yeah.
considering he died in the 1870s.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a span there. So have you or anybody captured any audio in there? Not particularly that room, but in the building itself, and like was male, female,
Um,
what'd you get?
right. So I talked over myself. One of the things that happened about 2 months before you came for a visit, I was running the tour, and that every room has its own thermostat temperature control, and so we were up there, and the temperature control was set for I think 72, and I did the talk, and then we went out, and when we went out, there was a young woman who wanted a clear picture of the room with nobody in it. Not that that's my thing too, is I always trail the group. Anyway, she back in, and from the time we left to the time she went back was maybe 3 minutes, and the temperature when we were there was closer, I'd say like 65. And so
Oh,
she came back in a matter of minutes, and it was 71 degrees there.
huh. So yeah, something was draining the heat, and then
Yeah.
and
It's
then
subtle, very
yeah,
subtle.
yeah, that's great stuff though. Even you know, obviously as investigators, we want to capture Class A EVP, or we're always in search of proof, right? We're only ever going to get evidence, though. I think, but I find it fascinating with the subtle stuff as well. Um,
Mhm.
because it shows that if you can notice the subtle things, it shows that you're paying attention,
Mhm.
and that you're aware. What's have you ever seen anything there? Not
I've
not necessarily just the Grant House, but on the grounds, the hospital.
I've never knowingly seen an apparition, which makes me unusual. I don't have the imagination to allow me to see that. I must have a paradigm, but that keeps me coming. I've had almost every other phenomena happen where I have heard my name called. I have
Yeah,
had the brushing against the back of my neck, and I have gotten EVPs, but never seen an apparition. And that's the holy grail. And how lucky you are and your group were to have more than one person see the apparition, because again, this is mathematics of hauntings. It is the thing that is the holy grail for people, is if I see an apparition, then I'll know life exists after death.
right,
But it happens so rarely, but it's written about the most. So there's this whole big differential. um, most
right.
hauntings most hauntings that we perceive, it's subtle, it's a sensation,
Yeah,
and then it amps up to something you hear, something that you record, phenomena, telekinetic movements of objects and things like that, going all
yeah.
the way up to an apparition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, half the time, you might get an EVP and you didn't even know, you didn't even perceive it when it happened, which is why
Hmm.
it's a phenomena. But
Yeah.
that's an interesting point to make, that seeing an apparition is the holy grail. Such a rarity, but the most written about.
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, I guess I'll tell you what, on that tour, when we saw the gentleman, I was just so very thankful other people saw it, not just me.
You're not the only one who's crazy.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was feeling. Tell us a little bit about the hospital. I know there's not really access there, but it's really cool looking from the outside.
Yeah.
I when we were there, the I don't know what you would call it. There was like if you're facing the building, the upper to the right where there were wards where they could come outside, or maybe it was
Mhm.
screened off,
Yeah.
like a
A deck.
veranda. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know what you would call it, but I was really drawn. Like I just felt like something was up there. I kept wanting to look there, just hoping I'd see something kind of peek around the corner. Looking outside. Tell us a little bit about the hospital and some of your experiences there.
Sure. We've only got what 9 minutes left, right? Or are we just going to go until we go?
We can go a little long.
Okay. So the post hospital is a brick building built in about 1904, and it was to service soldiers coming back from the Spanish American War and the Philippine insurrection. And a lot of, at the time, kind of incurable tropical diseases and rot and PTSD. And so a lot of suffering went in and around this building. Plus, during the World War One years, it was a demobilization station for soldiers coming back from the war. And the Spanish flu hit Vancouver and hit the barracks. There were at one point like 4,000 soldiers at the barracks. And the influenza was so bad, they turned the porches, not just on the hospital, but many other buildings, into outside hospitals. And that is where, even before the Spanish flu, from the end of the Civil War to about the end of World War One, the one of the treatments for respiratory ailments of almost any kind, tuberculosis and really bad flu and who knows what else, was what they called the solar treatment. So they used to put people in the sun because they figured sunlight helped cure these diseases without regard to temperature and relative humidity. So imagine it
Yeah.
is February, somebody has the Spanish flu, you're going to put them outside hoping that the fresh air will cure them. We don't know how many people died. I have some photographs of the porch at the post hospital with hospital beds on it. In today, by the 1930s, they had enclosed that porch, which is
Okay.
what you saw. But it's behind the wainscoting in the windows is about a 8 foot 8 foot wide deck that used to be open to the air. And so no wonder you sensed something, because during World War One in particular, and before then, uh, people were laid out there, and who knows how many soldiers expired
Yeah.
between the
Just
nurses checking on them.
just being out in the elements and the moisture in the air. Wow. Yeah, I just kept while we were standing there and talking, and I just kept feeling like someone's watching me from right up here. So I know you've had time in there, you've been able
Mhm.
to investigate in there. What did you experience, and like what was your favorite experience?
Well, and this was my first ghost hunt. It was 1996, and this was before all the TV shows told you how to do it or
Yeah.
gave examples of what not to do,
Yes.
right? And so there were not many guides, and the digital technology was not there. So it was the Wild West of ghost hunting, wasn't it? It was people hanging out with the old-fashioned cassette tape recorders, or even a reel-to-reel tape recorder and a film
Yeah.
camera,
Yeah.
and old-fashioned thermometers and such. So my first attempt at a ghost hunt was myself, my friend Brian, and my then wife Janine. And so we visited several times. And this was I wasn't experienced, and so instead of something like really subtle, or what was that? Was that a mouse, or you
Yeah.
can't be sure. It was full on. It was a full on active haunt, including telekinetic effects.
What,
oof.
so
Well,
something moved then.
yeah, oddly enough, the literature, because we have such a taboo about biological functions, not many books will address haunted bathrooms, will they?
No.
Another mathematics of haunting, right? And
Yeah.
so it was just three of us in the building. The first bathroom I found that I really needed to use was a woman's bathroom. It turned out in between visits, toilet seat lids and seats were going up and down between visits
Huh. In the ladies' room.
in the ladies' room. And we came back on a different visit. And starting about midnight, this is so cliche, starting about midnight for about an 8-minute period, you can hear. We put a tape recorder in the room and we sealed the door so you could hear somebody if they came in or not to mess
Right.
around.
Right.
And you can hear, and it starts off slowly and very subtle, and then it gets more and more powerful and louder until there's like a crescendo, and then the battery that powered this event ran down, and then it stopped.
Jeez.
And yes, the sound of either the stall doors opening and closing, or the toilet seat lids going up and slamming down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had a similar experience in Port Gamble, but it was just a toilet lid one time. I can imagine it building up and building up. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So, I'll just say I was in high school in 1996.
You young kid, you.
but and I've been investigating, tours, investigating, research officially since 2011. But would you recommend to people out there, or do you? Let me ask you this: do you still use a tape recorder, or do you use predominantly digital, or do you still see a value in the old school tape cassette recorder?
I do. This is the thing about using technology for ghost hunting, that the technology was not invented for ghost hunting. I mean, these are devices. One of the strengths of using an old-fashioned cassette recorder or reel-to-reel is it is a physical analog thing.
Yeah.
And so it suffers from some electronic interference in that sometimes the sound of the motor itself can generate a hum.
Yes.
But when that happens, the person listening knows what it is.
Yes.
Don't they? That's the hum.
Yep.
And it's harder to erase as opposed to a digital file. The device itself can go a little wacky, or when you're downloading from one device to another, you can get
corruption.
Corruption from the software itself.
Right.
And the medium is not permanent.
Yeah.
And so I would not recommend one over the other. I don't use cassette tapes anymore, and mostly like you have to go on eBay can you
to
buy,
get the tape?
Yeah, can you get that? And one of the other fallbacks, the drawbacks, was I was using 2-hour tapes, 60 minutes on either side. And the way when you have a cassette that's this big and it's spooling magnetic tape from one to the other, a 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute, and 2-hour cassette physically is the same size, right?
Yeah.
So how do they cram that much sound recording capability? They use a much thinner piece of magnetic tape.
Oh, yeah.
And so on a 2-hour sound, it can degrade the sound itself. Quality can degrade when you play it
much quicker.
Yeah. But that, if you know all that and factor that in, sure, why not? If somebody, but don't just go with a recording medium that always gives you successful results, because again, mathematics, the number of times you take a photo in a haunted location, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And so if somebody shows up a 1997 digital camera, and they've got orbs showing up all the time everywhere they go. Logic suggests to me that the camera itself, there's a design flaws, there's something wrong with it, and is creating these things as a glitch.
Yeah. I've been thinking about, I want to get a tape cassette recorder and have digital and that running simultaneously next to each other, and then review and you know, I
Great
know there's been
experiment.
I mean, a lot of people I think have tried that and stuff, but it'd just be interesting. You know, I think about here in Port Gamble, just the Walker Ames house is so much audio comes out of that place. I want to see what if one catches, you know, maybe produces some evidence and the other doesn't, but then, you know, try and put some controls on it and see what we can do. But I'm always thinking, you know, it'd be, you know, the more you can use, the more you can try, the more data you gather, and then, you know, the more you learn, you know, by doing that.
Yeah, again, understand the strengths and limitations of your technology. I only switched to digital camera when the digital camera resolution got up to six was it 6 megapixels per image, and that matches equivalently 400 ISO film.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and so that's the only time I switch. Also, it's getting harder and harder to find film.
Yeah,
and it's an interesting technology thing that you know what, a lot of those lenses were much better than you could get with those digital SLR, single lens reflex cameras. The digital SLR lenses now are on par, but oddly, I think 3M or Kodak is now starting to make old style film because people have gone back to film cameras.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that will be fun. I would look forward to that. I don't typically take a lot of photos on investigations. I'm more always focused on audio. That's what drives with me. But that'd be neat. Yeah, well, so we got to wrap up here, but so you said you had some summer tours. You got one next week?
It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Awesome.
And if anybody's in Vancouver, Washington, on July 3rd, I will be reenacting, or dare I say, channeling the spirit of former President Ulysses S. Grant at the barracks.
Oh, that's cool.
I do reenactments, which is the beard.
Nice.
Because Grant was stationed there in the 1850s, and he returned in the late 1870s following his presidency.
That's great. That's great. I would love to see that. See you do a reenactment.
Especially wearing my wool suit in 100-degree weather.
Yeah, that's poor planning, Jeff.
It's not me, is it? It's the holidays. If we could only get the government to move July 4th to February.
No, we want summertime. Jeff, thank you so much. I put your website out there and all the platforms, jeffdavisghostguy.com. Check out his books. You've written a ton of books. I'm going to have you on again so we can dive more into stuff.
Sure. We will do the mathematics of ghosts.
Yeah, I want to think about that, and maybe perhaps we can discuss offline sometime. And I think there's something there. I love the thinking of, you know, what are the mathematics of a haunting, and the fact that you mentioned before the show, nobody's run the numbers.
No.
You know, what are the numbers? And so let's figure that out. But I want to thank you so much for taking time, and I always enjoy our conversations. I always feel like I learned something. I hope everyone out there enjoyed the conversation as well. And if you're in the Northwest, you got to go take a tour with Jeff, because when I went down there and just walking around with them, it really brings this grand old place to life.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I hope people will come down and check out your tour and look for spirits and spirits, spirits with spirits. And but yeah, thank you so much. And Jeff, well, I'll just say look for my next show to come out mid next month. I'll be posting about it soon. I'm a very busy guy, and so I'm always lacking on posting early and stuff. So I apologize for that. But keep an eye out for my next show here on the Sacred Spiral Network. And Jeff, I leave the show with a different quote than I used to have before. Did you want to say something?
No, I was waving.
Oh, okay. So I have a new quote that I end my show with, and it's from my lovely wife, Molly. And I hope people will take this with them through this next month and this next bit of time. The earth is heavy, but the universe is light. When met with stress or sorrow or even overwhelming joy, know that today is the history of tomorrow. Accept it for what it is and move forward into the brightness of the next moment. And with that, I bid you all adieu.
Hold it. I gotta. I'll make it short. The world's shortest poem. Germs. Adam had 'em.
And with that, you guys, what a great way to end it. Jeff, hang on the line here, but
Okay.
I want to thank you all for watching sacredspiralnetwork.com. Keep following me on the socials and stay tuned for the next show. But signing off for now, everybody take care and be well.
Be well.